Hey, what's up, people? I'm back, Jason DeBias. This episode is episode 23. Got Mark Burik in the house. This episode is brought to you by Beach Volleyball National Events. It's also brought to you by Endless Summer Beach Volleyball and NY Varsity Sports. Come play with us. Episode 24 starts now. So, episode 24, you asked and you shall receive, because me, I got to give the people what they want. It is Mark Burik.
That was nice, man. That was nice. Need some more of that. I got to start coming out with you guys to 12 and Hennessy's. Oh, I just want to see more of that.
Yeah. We had a little conversation before we got on there where actually I was on the phone with you and I complimented you about your communication skills. Like, I think you're, I wouldn't call, I don't like the word extrovert because it always suggests an extreme one, like introverts, completely one or the other.
Right.
But you do and say just enough where people know who you are. And you've been doing a great job, like, what did we call it before? Betting on yourself.
That's what I do every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of betting on myself.
Yes.
But I'm not doing it alone, you know.
Yeah.
At least I haven't felt alone in a long time. And I think that that's what you do in beach volleyball, right? This is a beach volleyball podcast. Like, if you can't, or you don't have the balls to bet on yourself,
yeah,
you're not going to play the sport, or you're not going to play it for very long. That's for damn sure.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think you could pose it for like a couple of years, but how long can someone do that?
Right.
Yeah. When did you start beach? No, I mean, I did some looking back, you know, and I remember, you know, I'm like, what? Paul Lamb guy from the 90s, Bob Mesa guy from the 2000s. So I go back as far as when you played at Mason.
Yeah, George Mason University.
You and Dentler, right? Was Dentler there that year?
So Dentler, we recruited Dentler. So I never got to play with him. He was a freshman, and our coach, I remember, he's like, we really need this guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's make it happen.
It's important.
And I was like, make me the host. Let's go.
There it is.
So I was the host senior for Dentler and for a couple of those guys. But Mason was pretty good because we had a pretty tight family, and we treated things the way that I don't want to act, but that way I act kind of like socially. Like, you have to prove yourself to us why we should be your friend. Like, my family's really tight back home.
Yeah. So what happens? You have a bunch of brothers, right?
You can't curse on this, right? But like,
yes, you can.
My brothers always said, like, no matter what, especially like dating girls, they're like, don't bring to the family.
Yes.
That was just the number one rule. Like, whoever you wanted to like go and hang out with outside, like if you bring it to the family, it's better be high quality, and that's it. And so
someone you could sport. In New York, we're like, you could sport her.
That's not right.
I know. Look at Miranda shaking her head.
Yeah.
Nah, well.
So always like Mason was like that. We were really picky with who we let in.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because I was talking with somebody, and beach volleyball and volleyball, the reason that I play them was because people held the arms open widest. Like, the places where I felt the most love were like the volleyball teams and volleyball clubs. Yeah. And maybe like the family feeling of like even the qualifier routes where you want to strangle each other. Yeah. Like, afterwards, when you're first starting out and you're losing qualifiers, every one of those is going out on that Thursday. Yeah. And it's like, man, this is a pretty cool family. Yeah, man. And, you know, socially, I kind of treat people tough. Like, I'm like a bad senior and they have to prove themselves to me. Yeah. But I shouldn't do that. I think in business I do it well, where I'm like, everybody's in here, but you know, welcome. This is volleyball. This is where everybody gets to like love each other and hug each other. But I
think if someone has a luxury to put themselves in that position, sure, fine. But for me lately, like, there's only 24 hours in the day. I think I've become more like Mark Burik. I mean, right, when you first met me, right, I'm this guy, I'm singing karaoke, still doing that, you know, filming, you know, I came out here, just bought a camera, just started filming. Now I'm doing color commentary. You know, I did all of Pepperdine's home games last year. So I'm all over the place. So now I want to be a jerk. It's not, and I mean,
you got so much time.
Yeah.
You know, you can't respond to everybody, but I think you do it the same way that I do. Like, you do respond to everybody. It's just those that you let in close or that you want to let in close.
That's right.
It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta prove yourself, and I don't want to be like that. I'm working on that, like by myself. Like I said, places that I've enjoyed the most, the people I've enjoyed the most, are the ones that are like, come on, man. I don't care who you are. Come on in. So I'm trying to like work on myself with that. And be
Yes. Well, it's a New York virtue, right? It's an anti-socially useless waste of time to pretend to like somebody. It's not. You can't.
That is
right.
New York.
You can't. I mean, wow. You leave. You kind of throw up in your mouth a little bit, like, damn, was I actually nice to that guy when I know he wouldn't piss on me if I caught fire. You know. So there's always that, like you said, that guard mentality that you keep. Your circulation of friends is high, but your circle of friends is mad tight.
One of my I got a mentor that I just had maybe 4 hours of talks with this weekend, especially with what's going on, and he was amazing. He goes, oh shoot, what did he say? He goes, some people are peaches, and some people are it's not acorns, some type of nut, walnuts. I don't know.
Acorns.
But like some people are just like really soft on the outside, but then like once you get into the middle or to try to get inside, it's almost impossible, you know?
Yeah.
And then he was talking about bosses like this. Yeah. And then some of them, they got this crazy hard shell, and then inside it's just like this milky stuff,
it's
you know?
gooey.
So they protect it out there, but it's like a nice person on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are peaches, where it's like nice and fuzzy and beautiful on the inside, but it's kind of like, it's crap on the inside. And some people can fake that long enough. But I don't know. I think if you fake one thing, you're eventually just going to get caught.
It's only a matter of time. It's a slippery slope.
It's not easy.
Well, the cool thing is a decade goes by, right? Mm-hmm. You keep this circle of friends tight. Now, the fruit of your labor shows up. Now, you've been friends with this dude for X amount of years. Still cool. Everybody sees the click. They see you tight. They see your virtue through the way you hang out with your people. And all of a sudden, they know they have to be real to approach you. Who you're involved with romantically, all of a sudden, boom, you got yourself an alpha for a girlfriend because, like you said, you're not bringing Ash home to the house, you know?
Yep.
And you're going to be like, yo, what side is this girl from? So, well, same thing with me, man. Miranda would be the first one to tell me I got me an alpha. There's an old saying, if you're not a genius by the time you're 40, make sure you're married to one. I got a girl who's, saying.
Who made that saying? Did you just make that up? You just claiming old sayings?
No, I got it. That's me. That's me. Actually, it was the millionaire reference that I switched. If you're not a millionaire by the time you're 40, make sure you're married to one side. Just
nice.
tuck it and change it up. Made my own.
All right.
Yeah,
we can give you that quote. Put it up in Wikipedia. First person ever say it.
Yeah, but met her through volleyball. Harvard chick too. I've always had my longest relationships were, and I don't want to sound like a Ivy League racist, but my longest relationships were girls that had an Ivy League education. That have like this classical education.
See that? Because they were smart enough to stick with you.
Yeah.
See that?
But you know the crazy thing is I don't know it until like later.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, cool, man. So how many years? Let's talk about Volleycamp, man. How many years you into? You're listening.
Volleycamp?
Yeah. How many years in?
Man, like just the idea of Volleycamp. It's 5 years, 2 months, and 3 days. So January 1st, 5 years ago.
Wow.
That's the day that I arrived in Hermosa to be here full time and to start like my dream company that I wanted to.
That's so cool. Space. I'm exactly a year behind you. It's like I was like, yo, I want to be like Mark. Baby, pack up. Pack your shit. We leaving. So, So this house is supposed to be ready like Christmas Eve, but they didn't have the ash together. We stayed at the hotel at Hermosa until they did, and we moved in January 2nd. That was 2016. It's now 2020, and like I said, right behind you. But the thing I like about Volleycamp, and especially the East Coast crowd, particularly in the city, will appreciate this. An adult league. An adult league that's a club at the same time.
Right.
Like New York Urban Professionals, it's 254 teams. They have a very prestigious Division I for men's and the Division I for women's, but their bread and butter is co-ed and Asians. Okay. So if you look at all the clubs out here, it's teenagers. Right, yep. I'm one. I'm a summer. There's
next to nothing for adults. Like still it's tough. There's a lot of people that are helping out, and there's a lot of like small coaches, small trainers around town that like they got their group of like 8, 10, you know, and they stick with them, and it's awesome. But you got to be in such a tight circle to be able to find something like that. You got to know people, and then like somebody in your group's got to know a capable coach that you all trust and can get you far.
Definitely.
My venture was just to make it really easy for people, because I like when I was young, I came here before I moved here,
right?
And in beach volleyball, like I came to California for the first time, not the first time ever, first time for beach volleyball when I was 19.
Yeah.
I didn't see a coach until I was 24. Like
Jesus.
I didn't
Right.
see it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I wasn't looking for it.
Yeah.
But there was no one saying, "Hey, I'll teach you how to play. I'll get you past all of the pain that you're like going through."
Yeah.
Because if you go through the woods and you just like, there's no path and there's no one showing you that there's a path, you're just gonna get lost in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, you might get to the other side eventually.
You're
Gonna waste a lot of time just zigzagging trying to find the right route.
That's a golden virtue. Kevin Spacey once said, if you're fortunate enough to take the elevator to the penthouse, push lobby and send it back down. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I saw you that went from a guy that my first impression was just like a hothead that used you to, I think you used that to just emotionally spark yourself so you can, to some of these games that are decided by 2. Maybe if I got a little angry at the end, I'm going to win this shit.
Yeah.
So you went from that, and I saw the transformation where you found a way to hone that aggression and what should I call it? I'll just stick with aggression into something that's special. And now everybody's talking about you. East Coast, everybody's like, "Oh, do you know Mark Burik?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know. We talk."
It's
still
funny.
trying to get him to sing.
I never
Do I know Mark Burik? I'm still trying to
considered
get him to
myself
sing.
a hothead. I'm hearing that recently,
No.
like more and more,
course not.
because I'll get like really fired up on the court,
Yeah.
and inside, like on the inside, like the whole like whatever peach walnut thing we're talking, like on the inside, I'll be super. My partners will be like, "Dude, calm down. I'm like, "I got this. I just gotta yell at the ref real quick.
Yeah.
What are you doing?"
Yeah, it is. So it's good. It's telegraphed.
But
I like that.
like I'm like.
Yeah.
There can be emotion on the outside for me, and then I can just be super calm on the inside.
Yeah.
That's not to say that anyone, including myself, hasn't gotten like flustered and felt like real anger or
There's
real
gonna be
upset.
it's gonna be things that get you upset, dude. You're not a machine.
I think like Nick Lucena's been unreal at that. You don't see it as much anymore,
No.
but he just played a lot. Adrian as well, like with chips on their shoulders, where it's like, if I don't win this, I'm gonna fight you. You know, like, and I respected his fight and how much that he wasn't willing to just like be looked at in any way. And there's a certain intimidation that goes with that, but I think just the main point is the beautiful part about sport is you get to choose whatever character you want to be.
Yep.
You can be a completely different person off the court, but you get this like little moment on the court, like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a warrior? Do you just want to be a thinker? You want to be a strategist? You want to be somebody who's happy-go-lucky? Like, you get to choose that in sport, and then as soon as you're off the court, you can be yourself if that's who you display on the court. Or you can be anyone, you know. So.
Yeah. So I think absent of that, like Lucena probably wouldn't have enjoyed as much success as he did if he were something else. You know,
Right.
I think, and I would say the same thing about you. Like, one of the things I got about you when I first met you, and this is the one thing that hasn't changed. I saw a little bit of evolution on your part for the, slow, grinding, pride swallowing change, inconvenient change, where the result is you're a better version of yourself. Boom, got that out of the way. But the one thing that stays the same was, I just forgot what I was going to say. No, your realness. Jeff once told me, like, the thing he liked about me is that I know when to say I don't give a F. I'm trying to say fuck less. Which I just did.
You're wondering why you can't get sponsored,
Yeah.
man.
Do you know what's crazy? Like Rob, our Sports Debate Tuesday. I get more hits on that because I could promote it because that's curse free.
That's great.
The Sports Debate Tuesday where we talk about this and that. So yeah, Jeff told me
Just give Miranda a Bieber.
Anticipate. You're gonna earn it.
No, but your ability to not give a F what people thinks and pick the spots is here on the West Coast is golden. That's what Jeff told me, and I think I could say the same thing about you. To the ability here it is, 2016. you were playing Frischman and Brunsting. You had Hudson Bates. This is Manhattan Beach. And sometimes, they bring some of these fans, and I like cheering for your people, and I like hazing the other team a little bit, but some of the things that were said that elite athletes sometimes just don't hear, because you're trying to win a damn match. Right. You're in the third set. I don't care what this guy says about my wife, unless I hear, then I'm but some of the things that were said, like me, they probably would have threw out the match. I would have went over, and the referees like break it up, and I start yelling at the ref like, you should have shut that crap down from the beginning. It wouldn't have come to this. Next thing you know. No. And you said it was at your volleyball camp, and you said Jason lions need not concern themselves with the thoughts of sheep. And I said, I'm gonna use that.
That
I'm gonna use that.
Is 100% like. Man, I love that saying. I haven't remembered that I said that in a long time, but that's 100% true. Like, all right, you got all these little kids yapping from the sideline.
God.
Like, you're on the sideline. One of the best things that I ever saw in beach volleyball concerning that was Dane Blanton. I think he was playing with Stafford. I think he might have been like that last tournament. But some guy was just hammering him, like calling him like a has-been, just heckling for his guy. And he did something amazing. He grabbed his ball. He walked really slow over, and Dane's like big. And he's like super nice, super social guy.
But he has the same smile on his face when he's upset.
And he has to be great.
Yeah.
And he walks over, and this guy's like sitting down in his chair, and he just stands over him. He goes, I'm sorry. Who are you? Nobody here knows your name.
Yeah.
So you should be quiet.
Wow.
And then just like turned around, and that was like during his match. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like 100%. If somebody like wants to yap that much and you just single them out, and Dane's a big dude,
I really like that.
So
that's the applause moment of applause.
Like, he got mad enough to the point at this guy where he needed to like let somebody know, like, you think that you're involved in this.
Yeah.
You're not. You should be fired up. You should feel the emotions, but you have no effect on this game. I just really like the way that he very calmly shut this guy down. Yeah.
And in the simplest way possible. No heightened emotion, just stood, physically and figuratively made his presence felt.
Yep.
And then just walked away. I'd like to share one before we move on to the next thing. I want to show you a promotional video on whatever. But because you said this, John Mayer. This is a moment of applause. There's a married couple that refs. I forgot their names, but they're the coolest couple in the AVP.
Kate and... No, not Kate. How am I forgetting their names?
It'll come. I'm going to tell this.
Yeah.
Look, interrupt me when it comes, because when I'm telling the story, it's just going to pop in your head and then just boom. So basically, she's refereeing, right? And there's a guy who, I think is pulling for John. And he's just like, she made a bad call on John's hands or whatever, or a questionable call. And he's like, oh my God, this chick sucks. Chick shouldn't ref. Chick shouldn't ref. You know how Huntington gets, how they get all unruly sometimes. Yeah. And her husband's there. He's watching, and you want to do something about it, but you can't, because now you stuck. Now you're like, damn, do I stick it for my wife, or does this shit slide? Does she hear him? So then on the switch off, John Mayer, mild-mannered reporter from the whatever that Superman stuff was, comes over and says, I don't care who you think you are. If you talk to her like that one more time, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
I love Johnny.
Skinny.
That is a story.
John
that is
Mayer.
A story you will never hear about.
It wasn't,
Johnny.
and it was
awesome.
The total opposite of whatever. He just gets close enough. Mm-hmm. Doesn't really have the physicality to stand over everyone. Soaking wet. He's about what, $140, $50, and says, I don't care who you think you are. If you talk to her like that one more time, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Good. Her husband, the ref's husband, confirmed that story for me. He's the one. I heard the story, and he's like, "Yep." And he says, "Tell me what you think happened." And I told him. He said, "That's exactly how it went down." And I was like, "John Mayer." Another guy who I'm thankful of. When I moved here, he gave me the shot at LMU. Yeah. I was the director of operations for a year. I'll toot my own horn. I helped them turn that program around. When we got there, they were 6-13. Awesome. The year I came, they were 22-14. A year after that, they beat Pepperdine. They won the WCCs, which unfortunately was not a bid to the tournament, it will be. The sport's young.
Yep.
Like in our opinion, like you see football like a Power 5 conference, I think beach volleyball should have a Power 5 conference. Have the pack winner, right? Pack winner.
Yeah.
That right, they have enough talent, top 10 talent in there.
Mm-hmm.
WCC winner is either LMU, Pepperdine, or St. Mary's. Big West winner, maybe Long Beach State, Cal Poly, it's Ty Rogers is there, Hawaii. The South winner, Florida State, LSU. Those, and then the coastal winner, which is South Carolina, coastal Carolina, very powerful team. So I think
Those are all in separate ones right now.
Yeah. So I think
There's not
out of
enough
the
teams
eight,
for that.
but out of the 8
Divisions.
spots,
Alright.
let's do 5 automatic
Yeah.
bids and 3 at large.
Okay.
Right? If UCLA and USC both deserve to go and one beats the other in the finals, no problem. Even if I lose, I can't lose. We going. So it was kind of sad, and it stuck out the most because LMU got knocked in a loser's bracket, climbed out of hell, and had to beat them not once but twice to win the WCCs. And Marcio's a good coach.
Yeah.
Jonathan Daze is a good coach.
Daze's
Their head coach, the person who they preceded, was an exceptional coach. So. It took a lot of work. It was Betsy, Aaron Mansfield, his assistant, who's
Yep.
the indoor women's coach. He's
Now
one of the top 5.
He's now still the indoor coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the top 5 indoor coaches I've ever met in my life. He's
Yeah.
going to come on the show, but I told him wait till you're done with
Great.
LMU and whatever.
Yeah.
But hey, let's cue that up, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mark Burik. This is Volleycamp USA.
What do you got? I don't know.
It'll
My channel.
It'll show up on now. It'll eventually show up on this one, Mark. If you look,
There you go. You want to run that first one?
you run the promo, yeah. We want people to know what's up, man. What are you doing, Siri?
What are you doing?
Oh, is that just a picture or not a video?
It's a video. It'll kick in.
Kick in.
It doesn't like me right now.
Yo. Yeah, so
Look at that.
honestly, Miranda,
That's the homepage.
I tried to. We did a couple of shows without this woman. There it is. Is it on mute?
Since I don't think we have the sound on.
All right, cool.
Yeah, because that's just the intro.
I like it.
I could steer you to the link if you're looking for the for things, or I could just tell you the story.
No, this is fine. Make you better volleyball players. I watched one of your videos today.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
Just about holding your platform.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very big on that. As former indoor players, that we're probably both big on that instead of.
Man, I went back home and had like a 3-hour discussion with the guy who coached me, and we're just talking about what is taught, and even though people teach it, and then what actually happens, and that like might be teaching like some of the wrong things just because you heard it from another coach, and without like restudying technique and understanding what the world's best athletes are doing right now. Like what are 90% of the world's best athletes doing right now? You never want to pick one player, because if you picked one player, everybody would pick like Phil, and then everyone would have a goofy foot approach, and that won't work for everybody.
Right.
So you just got to take a look at what's similar.
Yeah, he's also a
across, like,
giant too.
90% of them. Yeah.
You take body type as well as technique into account as well.
Yeah.
And
so the whole thing, like they have like, there's so many coaches now that are still teaching like, hey, put your hands out, and then if you leave this hand here, the other hand comes to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put this hand here, the other hand comes to it. When if you look at all of the world's best passers in super slow motion, their hands come together before they're even outside their knees.
Yeah.
And then they build a platform there. And
Yeah.
like as a kid, somebody was like, no, you're gonna shank a ball that way. And it's like it's just a complete fallacy. Like one coach probably experienced that problem.
Right.
And he was like, how do I solve this from happening? And he was just like, okay, maybe if I keep their shoulders forward and I say they're not allowed to do this, then they won't shank backwards.
Yeah.
And then somehow that one piece of advice infiltrated all of volleyball, and then like led to thousands of coaches coaching that way. And it's like, let's everybody look at it in slow motion again. Let's look at who the best passers in the entire world are and see how they do it, and see how 9 out of 10 of them do it.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can replicate that.
Well, just like theater, there's no one technique that's going to save your life. Like Harch Karai, who's one of the best players, who's basically God in our sport for the people who are not volleyball enthusiasts who are watching us, and there are many. They're just lining up. Basically, Karch is God, and Karch is not a midline pass guy, where a lot of coaches preach it up and down. What you were talking about as far as angling your platform, or one of the biggest things that I learned as an indoor player, because all of my coaching was really in Germany, I was just this elite athlete that wanted to play volleyball.
Yeah.
Joined the Army, tried out for like a military community team, tried out for the Army team, and then tried out for a German club team. And he basically said the second part of what you said, both hands together, what happens? And Betsy Flint kind of threw this back in my head. And I started teaching the girls, which reminded me as a player and a coach. What this does is it drops this shoulder goes down, the other one goes up. Where if you're doing this and this, there's a chance I'm still looking at you and your shoulders go up and look where my platform is.
Right.
Can this pass go to the target? Maybe. Does it give it other options? Plenty.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where this generation understanding the why makes them more productive. So the challenge for this generation of players is, one, as coaches, making them understand the why and the balance of just blind trust. Like sometimes you only got a minute to talk to somebody. Let's talk about this later. I want you to do this now. And then sometimes, I call it the Chekhovian approach. You do it, and then you rewind, and you figure out why, and then you self-correct. So there's some people that do better that way.
And it's a different student. Some people you can. There was a Joe Rogan podcast where
That's my man.
He's
That's why I'm
talking
doing
about
this.
like one of the top UFC coaches.
Yep.
He's like, they're just these different types of athletes. And he's like, one of them's a warrior, one of them's an athlete, one of them's an artist. And he's like, the warrior, he goes, you can tell them to go and bang their head against the wall for an hour, and they will go for an hour and a minute and then come back to you and say, what next?
Yeah.
And then there's like an artist, and you can teach them the same way, where you have to let them be free to experiment. And if you try to lock them into this shell, they're never going to, find the extents of their game. And then there's just a different way to coach different styles of people.
Yeah.
And I think that people need to be open to that. And as somebody who has had coaches come to my place, and me, especially when I was a young coach, looking at other people, do not make an assessment or think that you can make input to somebody when you show up to one practice. You should open your mouth like after you've seen 7 practices. That's when you can start saying like, hey, what about this? But if you see me telling somebody something completely ridiculous, like, hey, set to the moon, that's me trying to get somebody out of their like 2-foot sets, that their hitters can't get to.
Yep.
And it's just, I need to yank them to the other side of the spectrum, or what they think is the other side of the spectrum. And they usually land somewhere right in the middle.
Right.
And then I'm like, perfect.
Yep.
The only problem is when that person then teaches the next person, they're going to be like, set to the moon. And that's
and
not like the
why.
standard, but you have to get every individual athlete to their spot. And I can give literally, and I do this every day, I can give completely opposite keys to 2 different athletes to try to get them to the right spot.
Right.
And I
Joe.
just don't like the way a lot of coaches criticize other coaches and will jump into a practice and be like, oh, that's wrong. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, that's wrong. Listen, stay here for 2 weeks. And then once you see the totality of the program and where everything aims, that's when you can do it. But I know I made that mistake as a young coach. Like when I was like 25, I'd been trained by like USA Volleyball and Go Middle Squared. And I was like, okay, I've been trained by the last 20 years of Olympic coaches. Now I can teach. I didn't get anybody any time to understand why they were teaching what they were teaching. I just got in there. I was like, oh, that's wrong. Oh, that's wrong. You should do it this way. Yeah. Now, like, I guess I'm an old man now, but now as an older gentleman, I think I have a lot more patience for seeing people teach.
Again, I think it's a generational thing because the way we came up, like if the coach told you to do it a certain way and you asked why, he's like, why? Why is not in your vocabulary,
Why are you not running around the green court right now?
In fact, everybody will run. Not you. You stay. They run for you. Yeah. So, no, but but this generation again, when they understand, it's more productive. So my coaching styles, sometimes I have them answer their own question. I'm like, someone serves the ball, and I'm like, do you have more or less reaction time if you move after the serve crosses than me? They're like less. Right. Sometimes it sounds like I'm clowning them a little bit, And I also want to plug in Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan is the reason I'm doing this podcast. Awesome. He talked about how easy it was. It's not, but now that it started, and now that I'm already on episodes 23 in like a few months, I'm just banging them out. So,
but one of his episodes is going to cost you 6 hours of your life. It's like they just went for a 6 hour conversation.
But it makes you want to. But if you're stuck in traffic, dude.
Yes.
Is there a better man? Is there a better qualified a companion than Joe Rogan or
there's a
serial
few good ones
podcast?
out there.
Serial
There's
podcast
a
is
few
cool.
guys. Serial was all right. I'm right now. I'm listening to Side Hustle podcast. It's
Side
just
Hustle, yeah.
nonstop entrepreneur people.
Yes.
I listen to Bigger Pockets for a while. This is a plug for them, but that's like a big real estate podcast because I was like, I moved here when I was 30, and I was like, I have less than $1,000 in my bank account, and if Volleycamp doesn't take off inside of 8 weeks, I have no money. Like, came here and did that, and I was like, man, I'm 30. Most of my friends got a lot more money than I do, and I started looking around at all these houses, and I'm just like,
30.
This many people can afford these big houses staring at like the, Pacific coast. And
Ridiculous.
Like, what? I gotta start doing some kind of business. I gotta start investing and stuff. So
I mean,
I'm attempting to start.
Mark, we're East Coast guys. I didn't know a fucking house could have like 4 bathrooms. I grew up. I'm like, get out. Let's get out. I gotta go to school. Get up.
4 brothers. Like there were 4 of us. We had a little summer house in Breezy Point, New York, and it was 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom for my parents, 4 boys, and they never said no to a sleepover. Like I don't know how. I don't know how, honestly, because our dining room and the living room were the same room, but it was whatever. Our parents just kicked us out. We ran around on the beach and.
Look at Miranda as a California girl. Like, how did you cope? Look at your face.
No, I had 3 sisters, 4 girls in one room.
How many bathrooms?
Oh, 2.
Yeah, 2 bathrooms.
We only had 1 though that we were able to access.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. So you had it kind of tough to say your parents
work.
like they locked you out.
But no sleepovers.
I don't.
No sleepovers.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think
Man, I can imagine.
I think I'm gonna
hair in your vacuums. Now that I got long hair, it's like I'm like, oh my god. I used to think that girls were like really disgusting because I was like, you leave your hair everywhere.
We can't help it.
And now, you can't help it. It just goes and goes.
Gifts for you.
Yeah. Let's revisit this coaching thing one more time because one, I don't want to feel like I'm letting them off the hook.
Yeah.
Through our own learning experience, there's 2 problems with coaching in the United States volleyball right now, and I have no problem calling them to the carpet because I don't care.
Yeah.
Tribalism. Right, so looking up to certain coaches, seeing that the way that they do it works, and anybody else's way is BS. Which I think you dipped your toe in that I'm gonna dive in neck deep.
Yeah.
2, understanding that there's not one technique that works for everybody. You take what you show, they show, John shows, Sicoli shows, Dane shows, Stein doing great work at UCLA, Jeff Alzina, the best coach in the United States, and you tailor and make your own, what works best for you as a player. 3, active players who are coaches fail when they tell someone that, when they use themselves as an example on what they can do and why the other person can't do anything, because they're not considering body type, they're not considering years of experience playing. Honestly, I'm gonna call John and Betsy and a little bit of Aaron out on that. I was talking about visualization, even though I use vision, I use the wrong terminology, and they never heard of it. And then Betsy was like, I never use it as a player, and John said, I never use it as a player, and I'm like, well, that's where you fail. That's where you fail. You're professionals. These people just got out of high school, and at the end of the day, to the casual fan, it just looks like bump, set, and spike. Like everybody does the same thing. We both know that's not. Yeah. There's so much more to it. So my challenge to player coaches, some of them are glorified babysitters, right? They recruit the best people in the club, and they just need to make sure they don't lose, and that's fine. But if you're trying to teach people, and if you're trying to whatever, you can reflect on your experience, I think, from a psychological thing, as far as demons to conquer. But the physical part, that doesn't work. I jump out of the sand. My approach, it works for me. I'm like, dude, John's like 130. I'm like 215. I ain't taking the same approach as John. Okay. I use him as an example all the time because when I met him, we both had the same poisoned left hand. It was Mexico was an indoor versus pros thing, and I got waxed. But the shining play was he hit a ball in front of me, and the next play I bounced one in front of him. I lost 15-4, but that was in my memory. So
no, I agree with that. I think. Shoot, I was having kind of a similar conversation a couple weeks ago, but it was, I think that players who learn the sport early, and then they, like when they're like 8, 9, 10, they start learning then, they almost have a disadvantage in coaching.
Yeah.
Because so much of their pain points and like figuring out how to get better at that, so much of that just became automatic. You know, like because I started late, like I started really only learning when I was like 19. I played half a season in high school, my junior year of high school, and that was it until college.
Late bloomer?
Yeah, but I was consciously aware of every single problem and how many solutions how many different paths it took me to try to fix that. So because like I went through the process of learning it from scratch and I remember it as an adult, I've got that ability to be like, I know what this is like. I know what you're going through, you know. And because I coach so many individuals, as opposed to like working with the same team again and again, Brandon and I, Brandon's a partner and co-owner in
Brandon
Volleycamp
Joyner,
Hermosa.
plug him in. Big up, bye.
We see, you know, hundreds and hundreds of athletes a year, and we get to work with them all on a regular basis. So the amount of problem solving that we get throughout a year, because we don't just need to solve like 12 people's problems. We have to go through hundreds and be like, how do I make this person understand it when they don't understand English right now? How do I make this person understand it when I got to get her game to the quality of the rest of the court? You know, like when I got a 50-year-old and a 20-year-old on one court, one's a lefty, one's got a broken hip, and like the other's, you know, just is flying. You got to find all of these problem solving techniques and you got to use it. So we're getting pretty equipped, and it's pretty sweet to be able to just recognize and align with athletes where it's like, so I was dating this girl in Norway. She's captain of the Norwegian national team. I was lucky.
I'm she's a
luckier
blonde.
now, but I had to teach the girls, the 14 and 15-year-old girls on her club team, how to hit with topspin. And she was baffled. She was like, what do you mean how to hit with topspin? You just hit it. She learned the game so young that she didn't remember the necessity or the learning period that it took her to be able to hit with topspin. And I was like, this is something that has to be taught.
They do miss the boat, right?
You know? Yeah. So like it actually has to be taught. And some people who just learn things early, they don't always have the same conscious pain points along the way.
Right.
And I think if you learn the game late, you kind of have that advantage. But of course, you have more experience if you start early.
I think the thing that has given me some success as a coach is one of my big things is I coach a lot from the neck up, because now when you start getting talent and finally, you know, as you continue to just keep moving up and you get better players, what you're trying to do is develop something that they can revert back to that works. I've seen so many games indoor where like someone gets blocked a couple of times and then it's a game of 25, the score is 20-20, and then they revert to something that they're comfortable with but doesn't work. So that's our challenge, our challenge, and I'll throw you in with me, I'll throw me in with you. Our challenge as coaches are to make sure that when it's a beach game and it's 13-13, it's third set and butt cheeks get tight, right?
It's volleyball,
and they take a deep, yeah, exactly. Walk around. Miranda, I thought you knew. Yeah, but they need to be able to take a deep breath and revert to something that works. Yeah. Something that they're comfortable with, something, you know, this is my default shot. It works. Worst case scenario, I get blocked. I know it's not going to go straight down to the cover.
Yeah, people need
stuff
default
like that.
shots, man.
Yeah.
I've been teaching that a lot lately. Like, you cannot go, when you're attacking, you can't go through this process of cycling through 9 different decisions while you're in the air. Like, you should have an A, a B if the A is closed, and then a C if things are totally screwed.
Right.
Like, then you only have just a small decision tree instead of like going up and being like, which of my 9 swings should I try right now? Like being able to choose from that. We know that from there's been studies on people buying jelly in supermarkets. When you have too many decisions or too many things to pick from, you get frozen and you don't actually buy any jelly. If you are shown 2 or 3 jellies, you're going to buy one quick because you're not frozen in like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I think volleyball players, while you should stay in the moment, you need to come with a plan of what you're going to do with that. And then you need if that's closed, I got my secondary. And then you should also have a plan for when it goes wrong. Like, what is your shot when stuff goes haywire? what should you go for? And you need to like revert to that, because in emergencies everybody panics.
Yeah.
And if you got a plan and you know what you're supposed to do when it goes in trouble, you're not like you had your 9 decisions to make, and then your setter set you crap, and then now you got to go through the 9 different decisions because you're in a different position.
And it's a breath of fresh air for some of these players that and I'll use younger players as an example, that have that discovery. Like I have one indoor gig, Evolution. I had a bunch of kids out of Redondo clubs. I got them for 16s and 17s, and we didn't have a lot of middles, so we relied heavily on just using faster outside sets to free up the middles, because we were running a slower middle, as opposed to using the middles to free up the outsides. Which as a good coach, you just have to do that. Some people, they have that philosophy and they stay stubborn with it, and sometimes you got to switch. But the last few months, and they're in their varsity season right now, some of the what we practice, some of the intelligent outside hitting choices. Okay, looking for the hatch, not open. Is there a split? No. Let me try. Is inseam? Boom. Is there a use? Boom. So it's one of those things where it's almost a Russia style offense, where you got this high ball, everyone knows it's going to you, and you use your skill set and whatever, and it's the best feeling in the world, because at this club and on the West Coast, a lot of times people get kills because they're the recipient of one-on-ones in system or whatever, and this and that. But these guys, 2-man, 3-man block, knows it's coming to them. And just watching these kids discover that and watch them get comfortable. And now it's not the nervous tension. It's like an alcoholic waning off on the booze. They don't go cold turkey, but but you know what I'm saying? The nervous tension either goes away. But it slowly goes away. Well, I'm the king of metaphors. But it slowly goes away, or the nervousness is turned into something else. So and studies show is one of my least favorite freaking lines too, and that's where a lot of people, that's where tribalism comes from. Well, this guy did this and he did a study on that. I'm like, okay, cool. What was the study? How many people? Was it 24 people? No, it was 9.
Right.
Cool. Was it D1 program? No, it was D2. All right, that's cool. You did it for a month and a half, 5 days. I'm sorry, did you just say studies show?
Yeah.
What?
Studies can show anything.
So
statistics can show anything. That's why you can hire a $100,000 statistician, so he can just like tell you a better story from the numbers that you've got.
But I think what people have to realize, and coaches coming up, and something that can instill their self-confidence, you're 30, but you're still mad young at this, is that we're the scientists. The studies are done by us, Mark Burik.
Yeah.
We're the scientists. We're the one conducting stuff. Oh man, you. What do I nickname you? The James Brown of volleyball? Didn't I say that right? The hardest working man, hardest working man in America.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Right, we ain't doing no splits. So
I can do a split. Come on. You serious?
Look at Miranda.
That's easy.
Miranda's like, I need to pull up the video. This is why I'm here. Pictures video didn't happen.
Yeah, it's actually coming out in our next video. Yeah. You'll see it. Yeah.
Oh man.
It's talking about players who put their feet too wide on defense. Yeah. So we did a little. Had a little fun with it.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room a little bit. Yeah. Volleycamp USA. Let's talk about beach enforcement. What's been going on in that? I saw something and I shared it, and this is the first time I shared something that I didn't like read in full context of itself. Is it something where they're cracking down on just big clubs overcrowding the beach? Actually, so I'll do it this way. Mark, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Doing the narrative.
It's a long story. So we do run classes. So in beach volleyball in Hermosa, without throwing anybody or everybody under the bus.
No.
You come here, you can see any day that like coaches are out there doing their thing and coaching, and it's kind of just a situation where Hermosa has a commercial zone right around the piers, and that's the only, right around Hermosa Pier is technically the only legal place if you get a permit to be able to coach and get paid for it.
Yeah, that's us. That's Endless Summer. Yeah.
And there are pretty strict rules around those permits, and and even the contract classes. And it's really difficult to actually follow those rules. And so when they came to us and they tried to move us off of 2nd Street, and we're like, okay, we'll move down. Fine. We're going to do this permit thing. And then I was asking for a permit for Brandon as well. And then they told us he needed a separate insurance and a separate business license. And I said, huh? Why? And during that time, like, we were just waiting for answers to questions, but we kept running classes where we were. And then they came and cited us again, and we're like, can you just tell us about the thing that we need to know here? Like, does he need a separate business insurance? And does he need a separate license? Because it doesn't make any sense to us. And then they came and cited us again because we didn't move. And that's when they said, hey, coaching privileges and even your ability to get a legal permit are revoked. As it was before that, we were looking at the permits and the contract classes, and we were like, how can you run a business in 4 hours? Like, they want to limit every individual, and from what they told us in the beginning, or how I understood it, every company. So if you're a company, if you're a club, that permit gives you 10 athletes. So one company gets like 3 or 4 courts, to have that permit.
Right.
And you're allowed a maximum of 10 athletes for that permit. So if you have a permit for those 4 hours and you have more than 10 athletes at any time, you are technically running illegal activities.
Is that why you think they were denying Brandon one? Because they thought, like, two different permits, they get 20 people, and they thought they were worried about over.
What their goal is to limit the privatization of the courts. They want people to be like public. They don't want like giant companies who have lots of dollars to just take over every hour. Yep. And go there.
Yeah, except to AAUs.
And those are special events, and so that brings up another thing. But the thing, we were running on 2nd Street, so we were doing exactly as everybody else is doing and coaching down there.
Right.
We just did it. If the speed limit was 65 and everybody's going 80, we were doing it at 90 because I work really hard on my website. I work really hard on SEO, and I desperately wanted to make it so easy for any out-of-towner to walk into Hermosa Beach and be like, how can I get a class in? I am currently in the capital of beach volleyball. How do I find somebody who can coach me? And there is no place. Like, it's so hard to go online, with the exception of just a couple of websites in Hermosa, and then find it. And that was my goal from day one, was if you're coming to Hermosa, I didn't want to, like I did when I was 19, go 6 years and be like, oh, people coach. Huh. I could have, this could have been a pain. But nowadays, now that it's NCAA, now everybody's a coach.
It's a business, yeah.
Yeah, for
everybody.
sure.
In fact, every club size have tripled. Yeah. The only club size that hasn't is ours. Mm. We have 20, a total of 22 girls, but not more than, like you said, they're required because they balance indoor and outdoor. Right. But we wanted smaller, more personal attention. Yep. We have like one coach for every 3 girls or 4 girls because right now, Duran, we're leading the nation in recruitments per capita.
That's awesome.
So we thought if we just stayed small and just made it not elite or whatever, just there's 2 ways to do it. Like there's 2, like I'll give an example for theater, right? Mm-hmm. If I want to do my MFA, I could go to Brooklyn.
What's an MFA for those?
Master of Fine Arts and Acting.
Master of Fine Arts and Acting.
I could go to Brooklyn, where there's only 12 actors and 3 directors, where it's more concentrated and you're just trying to hone your skill. Yep. Or you could do the Actor Studio, which is at Pace, which is like 54 actors and like 12 directors. Yeah, they're doing, the Actor Studio is doing it at Pace, the MFA. So if you're trying to market yourself and learn, or you're trying to hone your craft, so that's the important thing. But getting back to what you were saying, I think whatever council meeting and whoever however it's arranged, I'd like to bring up that subject matter in the sense that the times, not necessarily the volume, but the times that you're using it, right? Yeah. Oh, weekend warriors, yeah. There's not enough courts. I get that. You definitely don't want to be doing any tournaments unless you're the AVP or BCVA or AAUs, which basically dominate all of north of the pier. The entire month of July.
There's a number of things that are wrong with the permit, like limiting somebody to 4 hours. Like, you're saying that you can do a business if you want, but you'd only have 4 hours. And then when we were told that the contract classes, so you can partner with the city, you give the city 30%, and we tried to do that 3 years ago. Right. So I sat down, I set it up, and I was like, hey, I want to run adult volleyball training, for campers who are coming in and at a really good level. And they said, we already have classes. And I'm like, you have them 3 and then sometimes 4 hours a week, and it's only 2 hours each time. There has to be room for people who really want to take it hardcore.
Wait a second. I'm going to stop you right there. Yeah. The 4 hours a week, do they dictate that they have to be in 2 hour intervals twice a week?
Nope. No, any 4 hours. Yeah.
What? Do you have any idea what NCAA coaches do to circumvent? I'm not. We're not going to talk about that, of course.
We're not like throwing.
No.
And we don't want like
No, of course
anything to change. We want any coach in Hermosa or any club coach who comes down to our town, like because we do invite them, we want them to be able to coach legally, knowingly.
And you're not. Listen, that's not affecting commerce. That's promoting commerce. That does nothing but positive things for the city of Hermosa Beach.
Because as it stands, like right now, like because they have the event, right? They have like the events, so you can't get a permit during their special events. So even if you have a permit or a contract class, it's null and void during that time. So we know that June, July, August, there's almost all events. July is entirely juniors tournaments and APP, and so that means that during the month of July, there can be no legal paid coaching outside of that tournament, which means that even though we're inviting all of these players and coaches and clubs to come to the beach, if you want to give them a warm-up session, it's illegal. And we're like,
it's illegal to get paid for
it. Yeah, well, but they are paying for it because it's club.
Right.
So, so that was, and that's what we were arguing. We were like, listen, this is the beach volleyball capital of the world. Like, we got to give people a legal option. And the only reason that it had to get so fired up so quick is because we weren't getting answers from them fast enough.
Right.
And then, like, while we were waiting for their answers so that we could take our next step, they cited us again. And then it was like, oh, okay. Well, all right, just give us the permits. We're fine. We're ready to move. And then we got our permits revoked because they're like, you have citations to pay first. And we're like, we don't believe these are really fair because look it around.
Right.
And that's when like all of the emails had to go out because one of the council members told us the only way to get things to move or change, especially when you're talking to a city or dealing with a city, is you need numbers behind you. Because if you and 4 of your friends complain, nothing will happen.
No, you need a Brechtian approach.
We got our whole beach volleyball family, and we were like, look, this isn't what they would do, but if they took this permit law and the code as it's written, and they enforced it at 100% rate, as it's written,
right,
the beach volleyball culture here would completely and entirely change.
Yeah.
And we don't want that to happen. We just want everybody to be able to do it like legally if they choose to.
Yeah, and people have to also understand the timing and the time frames in which people are conducting their business is everything in the world. Let's be real. Where's the camera? Right there. Let's be real. I go to Hermosa Beach in the morning. There's a couple of pros, FIVB guys, a couple of hours. It is a deserted island. So this whole notion that these club teams are crowding the courts and taking opportunities away from people who are trying to play is asinine. It's ASA 10 and it's ASA 12. All right, it's not happening.
I don't totally agree with you there. Because on weekends and during those special events, that's when it gets shut down.
But that's why I was turning the corner.
Yeah.
Look, weekends, you can get out there as early as 8 o'clock and all the courts are taken because people want to play.
We have to wait at 6:15.
Perfect. And that I don't think any club coach would have a problem with because their business, especially for adults, is the camps these are empty courts. It is Gilligan's Island. You will not even see the Professor and Marianne, out there at that time. You will not see the Howells, all right? Giving away my age, but it is what it is. So I think if the LA County and Hermosa Beach and the coaches all want to have a meeting of the minds, let's all sit in one room and talk about things that make sense. It makes sense for people to do it in the daytime because the courts are not being used. It makes sense for people to say, all right, we're not going to do it this weekend because these are the weekend warriors and this is how they spend their time. They spend all this money, to a couple of $5 million just to live on the Strand for El Nino to F up that house.
And that's the best part. Like all these emails that got sent, like when everybody's getting kind of like riled up right now, like it's the same thing. We had to like create a little fire, set a little spark into people's ass so they'd send an email, and then we get to have the conversation. And the commissioners agreed. Like we disbanded the volleyball subcommittee last year. They said we had a subcommittee, and we disbanded it. And I was like, wait, why would you disband the
What, like
volleyball
the
subcommittee
Beatles? What do you mean disbanded?
during they had a couple people in charge of making those decisions.
Okay.
None of them were volleyball players. They were all commissioners or politicians, and maybe some athletes, maybe some who enjoyed volleyball, but
All right,
no
cool.
current volleyball players.
All right.
And so one of my friends, Dan Kavanaugh, who's also been like one of our biggest supporters, he's like, if I'm making software for faculty,
Yeah.
the first people that I talk to are the teachers and the faculty, because I need to know what their experience is. And so at a time when beach volleyball is growing at its fastest rate, in the capital of beach volleyball, they've taken away the group that makes decisions for beach volleyball, and they've left it to basically like be the Wild Wild West. And so,
and like you said, the volleyball capital of the United
yeah.
States.
So now we got these people.
The Mecca.
we made enough noise, and we created enough attention because we had so many people who like came and supported beach volleyball and support our company.
But I like that it was just enough. It wasn't over the top.
Yes, and
it was
the only reason that we're able to talk to them now is because everybody did it so positively.
Yeah.
Like everything
It was
came
civil.
from a place of love, and they're like, listen, like we're not doing anything bad. We're all reasonable people. We just want everybody to be able to play and enjoy and learn from who they want.
Mark,
to.
how do you think we saved our police? Dude, I was at the town hall, right?
Yeah.
We basically have 26 cops doing a job of 39 cops. So the meeting, listen, people could have done a whole bunch of yelling, but and I went up there and I said, listen, that guy I know by name, this guy I know by name. We do not want LA County sending people where the territory is so unfamiliar.
Yeah.
They're not cops, they're sentries. And you look to your left and your right and everybody's your freaking enemy.
Yeah.
And that's how neighborhoods go bad.
Yeah.
All right. Brooklyn, New York. That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? They started doing rotations instead of like,
Yeah, and once cops,
instead of
stop
local
walking the
cops
beat.
walking the beat,
Yes.
you know? So it was, but you know, of course there's going to be some civil unrest at those town halls. Like, excuse me, why is this person who makes $250,000 a year giving her herself a 30% raise, and we can't have no cops? So,
Yeah.
so you got a couple of that, but everyone in the room, basically really helped the police. And I just put names on people. I said,
I'm happy about that
I
too.
started pointing at people. I said, hey, I know that guy's name.
Yeah.
I know that guy's name. And intimacy is worth the price of admission as far as living, maintaining the cultural integrity
Right.
and the California life, the whole living a dream, which I didn't even know what the hell that meant until like 2 years ago. I get it now.
Yeah.
Because
So we
because
got
they're New
the,
Yorkers, they're like living a dream. I'm like, hey, you know.
Yeah.
So,
We got
my guess
enough
is you guys
noise,
did it
we
the
got
same
the
way.
emails, and
Yeah.
then like when we showed up with such positivity, now it's like, okay, now I guess we have to discuss it. Yes. Now we get to go in there and do the real work. Like that was like
Yeah.
basically like round one. Like we needed enough people to care.
Yeah.
And we needed enough people to show like support.
And if they
so
sit
that
in the
would pay
same room,
attention to us.
but
Now we're
if they
sitting
sit in the same room,
we're talking.
everybody
Had
gets
two
it.
Great conversations with two people who are in charge today. I'm talking with all of the council members of Hermosa Beach City, and like I think really good things are gonna come out of it. And it had to be like a really rough start because it was a rough start for us when they took away our jobs for a month.
Yeah.
Right. We should have gotten the permits and we should have like listened like right away.
Yeah,
But
gotta
those
go to the
permits,
principal's office.
even with those laws, like we still couldn't have run a business, and we still think that something has to change about that little system. But I learned a lot more today by sitting in with them, and because again, positivity and everybody like just saying like, hey, this is how much we love volleyball, and then chilling. That's what we need right now. So if anybody's watching and like and you're on my side or you understand, we don't need to send any more emails. They received well over 300 emails and they got a lot of phone calls, and they have to respond to every one. So
It was me.
so thank you, but like stop sending the emails, because now we need the time to work on the problem. Now we made enough noise so that everybody knows that it's like an issue that we can fix, so that people can do it fairly and legally and without like AVP coaches showing up to the beach kind of knowing that they're doing something illegal. That's what we wanted to fix, is where they feel like they have a place where they're not kind of sneaking around.
Yeah. And also, without, letting anybody up, go after the people who are not necessarily doing that right. But I'll leave that one alone.
Yeah. But yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it, had positive meetings, and we think it's going to move forward. We're just hoping it can move fast so that we can run our company again. But as of right now,
I like
we're
it.
doing
Someone
the
who has a
same thing, but
reputation
we're
for being
running-
a hothead,
we're
let
running-
cooler heads prevail.
That's what I'm saying. Like, exactly. Like, I've always been like, I can run hot on the outside and show you like, "Rah," to garner a reaction. But there's something on the inside that's staying calm and planning that out.
Right.
You know, or thinking about like the next point. Like, I can be screaming and thinking about the next point on
Yeah.
the inside.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now with the city, and it's been like super positive, and we've always loved Hermosa Beach. We just didn't like this rule, and we think that there's some positivity, and we're gonna
And
get
when
it to change.
and again, I can't emphasize enough, when they actually see the situations and they see the time frames, it's like there are more nets on the
Yes.
beach than actual human beings.
right.
So
And then
you
if
know,
you show up on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and every court's already taken,
yeah,
you're like,
that's different.
huh.
Yeah.
And now we have 80% of the summer weekends taking all of our courts at the pier.
Yeah.
Now it's like, maybe we should have had more courts. Maybe we should have had a secondary commercial zone. Maybe
Or change it, or just
or
change your
maybe
time
people
frames.
should like also buy a park and sun net. Like, people get so sensitive about a court not being there. I grew up every day we had to set up our own net every
Yeah.
single day. You dig a 4-foot hole, you bury a saucer, and then your net's up. And it's like, we can also do that, guys. But nobody,
that's a long time
nobody
gra-
in Hermosa like thinks
Yeah.
about that. Like,
They're East
We
Coast people.
barely like to bring lines.
But you know what I'm saying?
I
That-
know, yeah, you like to play court with lines instead of like, oh my
Do you know
God, I
that
can't
there are
believe
more,
I'll be here.
and there are more East Coast people more dedicated. Like East Coast is predominantly grass court people or whatever, and this and that. And yeah, we had to set up our own whatever. Right? You're bringing
Yeah.
the whole thing on your shoulder. This
So the whole beach is still public. You can
Yeah.
still set up your own course. No one's preventing you from doing that. And
Right.
like, you spend $300 on a park and sun net like right now, cool. Now you have that for the next 8 years. It's not going to break, and
No.
you can set up your own net with your own lines anytime you want.
Yep.
You know,
And for the people
it's
that
like-
live there.
Yeah. People get really sensitive about the courts, and it's something that's really obvious because beach volleyball is like literally built into Hermosa Beach. So we have unique situations, and there needs to be somebody in charge or talking about legally like beach volleyball and its rules. And so we're asking people like,
Well, now's the time because of
yeah,
the
'cause it's only growing.
no, because like you said, the quantitative rise.
Mm-hmm.
It's if we don't do this organized, at some point, if not you, it might be the younger clubs, it might be whatever, and it's going to get bigger, and it's going to get bigger, and it's going to get bigger.
Right.
Just looking right now, look at I bring your attention to last year. Since we're talking about Hermosa Beach, last year Hermosa Beach Open, plugging in Big Pearl. Earl Schultz and Jake, I was their coach. I got him in the draw for the first time. It was great because for me, I didn't feel like it was the first time I didn't feel like an imposter because I was always like Rafu's coach, but I don't know, you know.
He had his own thing. Yeah.
So I ain't sitting in that box. You must be crazy. So you look at Maple and Kraft, who were like 16 and 17 years old, finished like 5th. You look at Chrissy Jones, Munoz, right? They were still in college. They finished in the semifinals, or was it the finals? You look at the Norris twins, who were 18. They didn't even start at USC.
Right.
So the thing I loved about it, and maybe I'm a little bit of a Schadenfreude on this, I love that the generation before them, the older girls, who you just say hi to, they do introductions, and they're so full of themselves and bring so little to the table. You're watching these girls that aren't even 18.
Let's hammer people
But you're watching. No, sometimes you need to be turned into an ass to be a regular person, right? So after watching these girls, 5 of these 6 girls, I tell you, are now 18 years of age or under, finishing 5th or higher in a professional tournament, makes all the girls who are older than them reconsider how I'm doing my training. Wait a second, like you said, who's my coach? This is the reason why I always bring up Jake and Earl, because they asked me what's the secret to making the draw, and I was like, come here, it's a secret.
Yeah.
Get a coach.
It's
you guys,
unbelievable.
you know what? And I'll tell you why, because they get so good so fast. They think they get it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then this coach has different ideas. Now I don't want to do it. I want to do it my way. And then it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, they either come to a meeting of the minds, okay, I got to do it another way. Or they just keep, like you said, bang their head against the wall, just keep doing the same thing.
It's like, you want to be a doctor? Yeah. Go on Google, watch some doctor YouTube videos, and then, maybe just start cutting people open. Like, what? No one's going to be a good doctor like that. Like, you got to learn from someone. somewhere, and people treat beach volleyball like this. Like, all right, yeah, I'll watch some old YouTube videos. Like, oh, okay, that's how you spike. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna go out to the court and just start doing it, and then like now I'm gonna play a qualifier. What?
Yeah.
Get somebody to show you like something so that they can like skip you through a 2-year curve where you go far outside the line before you come back to the right thing.
But I
it's
love,
like, turn right back.
which goes back to this next generation of players. I could use Miles Partain as you know, he made the draw. Him and his brother at 15 and 17 years old. Makes people older than him that live here that say they want to do this for a living. And every year, you know, and I sound like I'm busting people out again, and I'm sorry ahead of time, but every year, they're in the qualifier and it's the same result, and they're in the qualifier and it's the same result, and they get, you know, and they're supposed to be getting better, and they're getting better. They're getting a little better, but there are levels to how much you get better and better where that helps you win games. And this younger generation of kids are making people re-examine, and sometimes you need someone behind you to be like, you know, are you sure this is what you want to do?
Yeah, but they don't look at the kids and get those lessons. Like, I always wonder, like, all right, you take like some East Coast teams and then you take them out to, should we take them to the California tournament? Like, they're going to get beat. And then some dads and some moms,
depends on the immigration,
they're looking at it and they're like, well, you know, if they get beat, then they'll see the level that they need to be at. But in my experience, when I played like Little League and I came out to California, it wasn't, that's the level we have to get at. The message that was given by our parents or like by our coaches and what they said, probably trying to make us feel better.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, well, they get to practice all year round. So, like, that message needs to get through to people. Like, why is this 18-year-old girl so amazing at beach volleyball and beating somebody who's 34, 35 and been playing and dedicated, like, the last maybe 20 years of her life?
Yeah.
Because she got coached. When she learned that some adult was watching her nonstop, being like, wrong, perfect.
Boom.
Don't do that. Perfect. Yes, do that. No, you're not allowed to do that. Get back in line. Do this. Like,
over and over,
my generation,
and over and over
we
again.
didn't have that. You know,
No.
You just came in and you just explored whatever you needed to explore, and nobody told you which path you were going on. Like, if you're going the wrong way for a minute.
I really like how competitive Long Island is, and like almost all of the sports, particularly Long Island volleyball club, the indoor team. They come in a lot of the tournaments and they represent well. But I would also suggest from the kids in the adult level, I think it depends on where. Like if it's an immigration population, like if it's a bunch of Polish kids from Brooklyn, I don't think they care about But you heard that? I don't think they care about no West Coast trip. You know, a bunch of guys, you know, who from Santo Domingo or Mocha, like Washington Heights or whatever. A lot of those guys are on their junior national team and an adult national team. They don't care about no trip to California. If you look at the last, in fact, you look at nationals the last few years, who was first, second, and third? Two of those three teams, and the New York and New Jersey teams. Not because of, like you said, the American upbringing and the great coach and that or whatever. No, those kids immigrate to New York, New Jersey, or whatever. Like you said, already playing at 9, 6 years old under stricter coaching guidelines.
Right.
I'm talking about being sent home crying. You know, you ever got coached by an old grouchy Russian dude? You know, he's like
a bunch of them.
God, I had a Forrest Gump flashback. Do you remember Forrest Gump when he says, "Do you know what it feels not to be able to use your legs?" He's like, "Yes." It's like, God damn it, he got me. I'm just gonna go swimming in the ocean with my no-leg self. Leave Forrest Gump alone. Lieutenant Dan, they gave you the Congressional Medal of Honor. They gave you. I love that movie, dude. Wow. Oh my God! When is my 94 was a good year for movies with Shawshank Redemption.
If you're gonna trivia me right now, you're gonna win.
I'm gonna win. Yeah.
I am the last person you want on your team in a trivia contest.
But as far as movies that like people like cable's kind of out, people live streaming, but they're still showing Shawshank Redemption. They're still showing Forrest Gump. Yeah. And there was this boom period of between 93 and 95 where all of them came out at the same time. Oh, nice. And I'm like, so they're like, Shawshank got Best Picture, and it's like, no. What? If not that, then what? So that's how you appreciate that. So, but who's your partner right now? Is it still Ian?
Right now it's Logan Weber.
Logan,
Weber.
talk about good learning curves, talking about being the evolution, what I talked
Yeah.
about, slow, grinding, pride swallowing, inconvenient change to become a better version of yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Logan Weber.
Hell yeah.
That kid is a stud. Tell him to call someone back, by the way, because he was supposed to come on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but
Huh.
yeah.
That's weird that he wouldn't. He's a little.
I don't think he checks his Facebook
He is a little
Messenger.
shy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not like. It's weird. He's not socially shy, but he just doesn't need to hang out with people.
You know what I liked about him? A couple of years ago, FIVB,
You, but
AVP.
he doesn't need to call you.
No. It's like, okay, what time? Bye.
Yeah.
Practice?
Yeah.
8? Sure. Coffee? Black?
Phil's actually funny. Like, we didn't talk
Yeah.
for a long time, and then like I started getting interested in like potentially investing in real estate. And if you just mention that to him, he goes off. Like all of a sudden, like he like wakes up.
Lights
He's
up.
more energetic than he's ever been on a volleyball court.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, well there's a steal here and there's a steal here. I might sell this one. I might go this one. And I was like, wow, I get fired up about this. He actually loves it.
Yeah, he's got a really acute sense of humor too. In New York, AVP New York, I had my boy Ken Bassarath, Central Park guy, hell of a card player.
Man,
played with Hustle
I
and
can
Flow
imagine
won
having the
nationals.
two
You
of
know,
you in the same room.
he
That would be-
yes, you know, like
that'd be a
Styles. You know, like John
topic.
Stossel has like those card games Friday
Yep.
nights. You know, Kenny's a shark, dude. He is a piranha, dude. One man piranha, a whole bunch of fish merged into this big old bowl we call Kenny. So AVP New York, you know, we're leaving.
By the way,
Yeah.
awesome.
So AVP
Yeah,
New York, we're leaving, right? And Nick and Phil are kind of leaving at the same time. So traffic light, we're crossing the street. By the way, AVP, big up. I love the new location and the way they set that up.
Yeah, they did a
Big
good
kudos,
job.
big praise, generated this nice crowd, in and out
You know how much work
accessibility.
that took? I was talking to Josh Claysbrook, and he's
Yeah.
like, we have had 3 meetings a week just to get that done for the last 7 months. And I was just like, what? He's like, so many different insurances. They don't know what codes are. And it's like, again, a case of like working with a city that has to do the best. And like
Yeah.
beach volleyball is such a small part of what a city does. And like, it's just going to take forever to get things done. But the people who like kind of slam like locations, and if it's not in this city, it's bad. If it's not,
Yeah.
it's so tough to put on those tournaments.
It is, but they did it, and big
They
up to the AVP, from Donaldson to Conover, who's the other hardest working man in America. From those guys all the way down, salute you, love you. So Nick Lucena, we're at the traffic light with this and that. So I'm like, hey, what's up, Nick? And he's just like, does one of these, and you know what I said to him? I said, you better fucking shake my hand and not act like we slept together. And he's like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. You know, this and that. And the reason why I did that, and I'm gonna get, and I'm that's not even the fun part of the story. The reason why I did that is because when he was an assistant coach at Florida State, and when I was at LMU, we talked. You know what I'm saying? But like out here, you don't see me, but he didn't mean to. It's just,
Right.
he just, you play a couple of games, you're exhausted. Maybe you won, maybe, I don't even know if they won or lost.
Yeah.
And he like said sorry. And I felt like an asshole too. But then, so now I'm talking to him, and now it's just Kenny and Phil next to each other. And Kenny's like, you know how Kenny is? Kenny's like, I'll play you for that hat. And then Phil looks at him, he's like, I'll play you for those shorts. So now everybody kind of opens up, and now we have this conversation. And the point I was trying to make was, sometimes you got to wall yourself off, because the too many people coming at you one time, if there's too much, you're going to know nothing, and you're going to remember, and you're going to meet the people you meet, you're not going to remember anything. And I get that. But every now and then, someone like Kenny reminds people, like, look, just because you do this one thing better than everybody else does not mean you do everything else better than everybody else. That alpha mentality makes you ultra competitive. Like, look, there's AVP guys out there that probably think they're a better theater performer than me. Yeah. You're not. Just like volleyball, there's levels to that. Sorry, or just because someone's played longer, they think they're automatically a better coach because they play the sport longer. So Kenny just brought everybody back to this Brechtian man equals man type stuff. And what a cool 10-minute conversation, because that was a long ass light.
Absolutely.
You know that light to get past West Street?
Yep.
I'm like, dude, you might as well talk, because we standing there, it would be awkward standing here waiting for this green, just like the PCH, right? So,
Man, I
but that was the point Kenny was trying to make, and that's one. I'm plugging him, and I'd love to have him on the podcast. But I love that Phil, came down a little bit just to talk, and Nick kind of like snapped back, and I appreciated that, And I'm like, by the way, I'm not even like a fan. I'm one of you guys. I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I'm here on business. Okay.
Right.
I was coaching Jeff. Samuels and
Okay.
Vandermeer. So, a muscle shark. Sorry, whatever. It's Doc. I call him muscle shark because he's a short guy. And he's just, he feels like he's got to work out all the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he doesn't feel productive. You know something about that.
Yeah.
So the thing, and I pass that to you, your humanity, your thing. Like, okay, I do this better than everybody else, or almost everybody else. But as a person, who am I? Like what I see. Like what's sitting across from me.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Volley, I keep telling everybody, like, I love volleyball. I love what it's given me. I love what it's, the friends that I made, like, I wouldn't change it, but same thing, like, at the end of my life, I don't want on my gravestone, I don't want it to say, like, Mark Burik, volleyball. Like, I need a lot more out of my life, like I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great father. Like, I want to be a bomb. I want to be a much better grandfather than I am a father. And I don't just want it to be volleyball. Like, that's right now, that's this chapter of my life. I understand that. And it's going to move beyond that. And then there's just going to be new sources of pride and joy. But it's, soon, a few years, I guess, but soon it'll be to the point where,
I see
hey,
it.
what's our next step?
I see it now. Mark, I'm 50 this year. All right. You're 30. I want you to take everything you know now and think about the kind of person, as far as your volleyball and just life IQ, the kind of human being that you're going to evolve into by the time you turn 50. I like what I see, dude. You already, as far as man equals man, you're there now.
Thanks, man.
You kicked in the front door and said, "Where's the son, bitch?" You didn't tap it. Me, I wanted life because I just figured out things. By the time I was married and divorced, and right after that divorce, that was 31 years old. I was 260 pounds, so I took a year, dropped 60 pounds, went back to college.
60 pounds in a year?
Yeah. I could have lost it faster, but
Yeah,
I didn't.
lose
But
60
you want,
pounds in a year.
but you want no, but you don't want your body to look like a map of upstate New York. You need your body to catch up to the weight loss.
Yeah.
So I started eating 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So 5 times
No,
a
I
day.
get it.
5 times a day, smaller portions. I'm ex-military. I'm a Gulf War vet, so just military
So,
workout, stairs and this and that. So
You can
Pottstown
find a
Rumble.
workout anywhere you need to.
Did the Pottstown Rumble twice. You know something about that. 2002, I played AA, finished 5th, and then Open in 2003, finished 5th. So
Nice.
fifth is the best I could do. I had this guy named Eugene, Central Park guy you might know. They call him Flacco, Dominican dude. Yeah, he looks like a cross between Barack Obama and Reggie Miller. It's just bugged out. So
He's got some
you may
ears.
know him, you may not, but you might have known him when you were
Sounds like he's
coming
got
up.
ears. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I heard in that statement.
He's yeah.
Barack and Reggie.
Yeah. I know. My president is black. So, yeah, Pottstown Rumble. When I have a memory of you. You didn't qualify at San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So what does Mark Burik do about it?
Was it San Fran or Seattle?
San Fran. Because
Okay.
you got on the plane and you went to the Pottstown Rumble. That's how I remember. And the San Francisco tournament was the same weekend as Pottstown.
Yeah.
And
We had something like 13 hours to get there.
the thing
and
that
we're like,
always
"Is there a
impressed
flight?"
me, the thing that always impressed me was like, do I sit there and wallow because I was supposed to make this draw and it didn't go my way, or do I just book a flight and go to Pennsylvania and do something about it? And I was like,
Man, that whole
I like
day,
this guy.
We just kept like
I like this
sleeping
guy.
under tents. It was like time to wake up for a match. Ha, ha,
Yeah.
ha. Okay.
Yep.
Like go in, battle it out in the match because like Pottstown, no matter
Yeah.
what, doesn't matter.
It is
doesn't matter
grueling.
what level you have to like be on it, and it's gonna be exhausting even to beat like the worst team. It's
yeah.
exhausting.
Well, let's educate the audience watching. Pottstown. Give me one or two things. I'll give you
Big
one.
court.
Big court. Go ahead.
Old rules. So
Side out.
Yeah.
Gotta be the serving team to
block
score.
plus 3 touches.
No let serve.
No let serve.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's on the grass. So
Yeah.
it's harder to get digs because you can't like dig in. You're always slipping.
Yeah. On a big court.
On a big court.
And on a level playing field. It's not like the sand where these guys are. This guy is played for Penn State. This one's whatever, Ohio State.
It's just all Americans everywhere, like ex-all Americans.
Playing basically on a de facto indoor.
Yeah, it is an indoor, but it's worse because you can't move as well.
No. And you can't really land. If you land, if you play beach for a long time and then you play that grass tournament, you feel it. Like Mark, you'll train or whatever, and people ask, do you want to go out? You're like, yeah, because beach is like physical therapy, and you're sore a little bit, but there's a different kind of sore.
I'm getting better at
Play
that
a grass
now. I'm getting better at
tournament.
saying
Do
no.
play a grass tournament for a whole day or 2 days, and people call you, tell you they want to go out. See what you say.
The biggest thing, the biggest way to win Pottstown is like bombing jump serves. Like that will get you so far in that style of the game.
That's how Donahue won, right?
After that,
Yeah.
so many people don't understand that, like, if you just have vision, ball control, and shots, like if you can pass and set perfect, and then
That's it.
all you need is like a bit of vision, and you can really win Pottstown.
Yep.
But you have to be able to dig set, and you have to be able to serve bombs.
Yeah.
And
That's the
that
glaring, the
serve
most
bombs.
glaring
yeah,
thing.
because
Serve.
I go through all of Saturday, and people are like, aren't you gassed? Like the first couple of years I played that, my body was torn apart. I was cramping. My quads would be sore for like a week and a half.
Yep.
Now when I play that tournament, I'm not sore because I don't swing at a single ball except from the service line.
Yep.
Like it's just there's a football field back there. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna look. Oh, okay, bye.
Energy efficiency is the key.
Yeah.
Baranek and Bill, who finished second,
Mm-hmm.
Bill figured it out. Baranek had to be sore. The way he played,
Well, I mean,
and the way that kid played, he had to be exhausted. Like if he had, they might have won
the
if he,
jump server
but they
on
might
that
have won if he had your approach. And he did do the jump serve or whatever, but
I don't know if they'd beat the East Coast Mafia in
No.
Pottstown. I think it's
No,
against
it's-
the rules.
it's a different game.
Sorry,
No.
Boy Denton Donahue, just
No, that was
bring
real.
that matchup any day again.
Yeah, and Denton had a little baby. He's like, you're not messing with my money.
Dude, and
You're not
Donahue's got
messing-
two now.
Yeah.
Donahue's got two.
Yes. What?
Yeah,
God,
Yeah.
we're all having them, huh?
I know. He sends me these he sends our little East Coast crew these videos of
It was almost like a
dadding skills.
it was almost like a 2-year sync. Like 3 years ago, everyone was having a baby. Slick had one.
Yep.
Alan had one that had like a
know.
farmer's tan. I'm like, why you got your kid out
I
there like
missed the
that?
memo.
Yeah, I got one. I got a little toe head.
Yeah.
I'll introduce you later when we close up
Awesome.
shop here, which might be soon. I ain't trying to take up all your time. But for me, I'm just glad to have you on the
I
show.
gotta send emails to city council members. So
Well-
actually, I gotta send like 300 emails today because like everybody who supported us,
Yeah.
they send all those emails, and now I just gotta be like, thank you so much for the support, but let's make sure that we're not like taking the counselors' times anymore.
But allow them to do their
we
work
know-
too.
They know now
Yeah.
how passionate we are and how much we love each other and how much we love like these coaching programs and how much we support all of the beach volleyball coaches in Hermosa. So now it's time to like put in our work, So I can't. If any of them are watching, like I can't appreciate.
What's
them
that?
enough?
We'll pull it up.
What's that?
Yeah.
Better at beach. Oh, thank you.
Do you want to
Yeah, pull it up. Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit?
Plug
Yeah.
that in.
I would love to. So, so that's betteratbeach.com. So, a little while ago, maybe 3 years ago, I realized that we keep our classes really small, right? We don't do more than 12 per class. Every now and then we'll do 16, and if we do have 16, we bring two coaches and we make sure we have two courts. So we
Boom.
want quality to stay super high, just like BBNE and Endless Summer. Like we need quality to stay high. And I said, my goal in life and something that I've always had a need to do is like get the best out of people and to try to get them to a next level. And I said, I want to do that for as many people as possible. And then I said, I can only I can
definitely want
max
that on your
out right
gravestone.
now at 12 people per hour. So if I start going with like online courses and I start building these tools that people can legitimately use and then go out and do the homework in our courses and then they have their own practice plans. Like if somebody would have given me a practice plan when I was 20 years old, here, young man, here's what you can do to get better for the next 3 months. Do these drills, make sure that you master them, and this is the standard or the rate or the hitting percentage that you need during them. So this is what you got to do to get better. Here's your path. Don't mess around. Like if somebody had done that for me, I would have wasted a lot less time. And that's what we did with Better at Beach. So we got these online courses. We got a membership program. If you sign up for Volley Chat Pro, you have a live nonstop Q&A with professional players.
That's awesome.
So like you can go in there and just ask questions to pros. And if you don't want to pay for any of the accounts, then you can just talk to everybody who is a volleyball player who is a part of the Volley Chat forum, the free version. So that we're really just trying to create like a big good community of people who want to learn. There are other websites where you get to like chat about volleyball, but we want that community specifically to like learn and be for people who want to get better. And we've
Nice.
got these courses. I got a 60-day training plan that's like guaranteed to get your vertical up, and people love it. Like I've had feedback from it that people
Yeah.
are blown away. Like one guy's been taking ibuprofen for the last 15 years.
Doesn't need no more.
15 years.
Doesn't
every
need it
day.
no more.
No, 4 weeks on it because we focus so much on mobility and flexibility.
Let's
first.
talk later about that
Yeah.
off the air, because I might play in Huntington with
Sweet.
Greg Faulkner or
Sweet.
maybe Kevin, if Kevin McCulloch wants
get
to
you on the program.
come back. And right now my leg strength is the one thing that's missing. This never goes away. My skill set, either you have it or you don't. If I sucked before, I'm gonna suck now. That's one of those things that when you play as long as we have, that's all, that never goes away.
But no, it's the program that I'm following, Brandon's
Yeah.
following, and it's
working.
it's everything, because I was a exercise science guy in college, and
Right.
I got like 7 different training and nutrition.
George Mason
certifications
University
after
people.
That.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I was able to build it from a good point, and specifically for volleyball players. I think most vert programs don't focus on volleyball players,
Nice.
and their strength programs don't, but this one's exactly and specifically for volleyball players. So the
All right.
workout program's great
Definitely.
as well. Yeah.
Which I definitely want to wrap up with that. But 2 questions before I
Mm.
leave, just for my own selfish or whatever. Who's the most conditioned partner you played with? The best conditioned partner you
The
played with?
most conditioned player.
As far as the guy in the best playing shape. I asked John Mayer. He said Jeremy Casepier was his.
Yeah. He never got tired when we were playing together,
No.
that's for sure.
Looked like some guy that would just, go nail someone to a cross,
That's
go
a
play
great
volleyball,
question.
and then go
I mean,
drink it.
Hudson Bates was the strongest.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Definitely.
He might have gotten too strong for his own good.
Yeah.
I think he's like
Hudson,
he's
wherever
like
you are, we love you.
270 right now. He's a beast. And he's not like fat in any
So
way.
first one that came to your mind. It might not even be right. First one that came to your mind.
I've never seen Shane Donahue get tired.
There you go. There's one.
And he blocks for me.
Well, it's a tough question for you because to me, it's always been you. In all your partnerships, you've always been the best conditioned athlete. So you're like, how am I supposed to pick someone when I'm in better shape than that guy?
It'd be
So I
tough
thought
for
that'd
me
be
to
a tough
admit that
question.
somebody
for you.
else works harder. Yeah,
That'd be
tough to admit.
Your most memorable match. First one that comes to your mind.
Most
Go.
memorable match.
Just something that was just fun. You competed. You had a good time, win or lose.
Pottstown matches are pretty good. They're fun. You get to have fun with them. But
I'm glad they're airing them more now.
Seaside was so much fun playing in front of that crowd.
With who?
Who did I play that year with? I don't know. I only played Seaside once, and I played with my friend Chris Littleman, who's a coach up in the Northwest. He used to try some AVPs. But
Okay.
He just invited me up there. But honestly, this year, because these past 5 years ago, to be honest, my whole mindset, maybe 3 years ago, I was locked into volleyball, and I was just trying to do Volleycamp and build it, but it was all only to play beach.
Right.
Now I've been trying to build a couple businesses and play beach. So I've been stressed, and a lot of the tournaments that I've done recently, it's I've made the mistake of putting maybe too much effort into the companies, but I want to grow something, and people love it. So I would show up to tournaments, and I'd be like, finally, a day I can relax.
Yep. And then
That's not where you want to be when you're playing at the highest level of the country. Yay, I get to relax now. Let's play this tournament. So I'm trying to set some systems up and hire great coaches so that I can get a little bit more freedom to play. But that being said,
that's a fighter's mentality,
Pan Am.
We're big MMA people. The fighter's mentality is the place they actually can exhale is when the actual match starts, because the training and the situations they put themselves are so grueling and so stressful.
Yeah.
You're almost like, oh, thank the Lord, I weighed in, I didn't trip over some wires and hurt my knee.
And
Remember
your mind
Tony
can focus on
Ferguson?
one thing right now,
Yeah.
which is
Just fighting.
that's such a blessing when your life
Exhale.
is going crazy. It's that's why I went to Texas this weekend. Texas volleyball tour put
Yep.
on a great tournament, and this has probably been one of the worst weeks of my life.
Oh dear.
And I got to play that tournament, and for those couple seconds at a time, I could just play volleyball.
A little piece of heaven.
That's it.
Little piece of heaven,
You
in
know?
case that's not where we're all headed, huh?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
soon as that match was done, I was like, shoot, I got to send out a bunch more emails, talk to a bunch of people, because my company's falling apart, my life, the thing that I built my life on is now falling apart,
Yeah.
and they're trying to take it away from all of our players. And it's like, where would my players go after this? They would have literally like
get through
nowhere
this
to go
patch,
to get the same product.
We get through this patch, Mark. Mark, we got your back. We love you. My favorite match
that.
with you, is Kate. You played Mayor and Hermosa Beach. It was like Mayor and Trevor Kraft.
Oh, that was a fun one.
I don't remember who won the third set. I think it was them, but
They won it.
I've
Yeah.
never seen you play defense.
I think Trevor.
I've
Trevor
never
blocked me
seen
3
your,
times
but
in the end.
like your transition game and your defense. I've never seen anything like that.
You should have seen me play Hayden and Theo last year.
Yeah, cool, man.
was a good
That's another match to watch then. Okay.
Yeah, we definitely had some fun ones. That's for sure. It's been a good life.
So let's wrap up here, man, because I meant to leave it at that. And I keep talking. But listen, Mark, my man. Listen,
so much, man.
for all of you at home watching this, for my hostess with the mostest, that's Miranda Gagne, the woman with the plan. You've seen me do a podcast with her, and you've seen what a hot mess it is. So big up to her. So for Mark Burik, I'm Jason DeBiss, and for everybody watching, I say see you next time. So long. Peace. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're gonna love what you hear.